Yo guys, what's going on? GBL Motovlog today and welcome back to another video. So then in today's video, as you've seen by the title, obviously because you clicked it, today we are doing a review of my KTM Duke 390's Flyscreen. Now I have done a review on this before on the channel. I did it right at the start last year, like going back nearly a year ago now. And surprisingly the video did very well. It got 3.1k, but the video was rushed and it didn't turn out too cracky. And if you actually look at the like-dislike ratio, it is one of the most disliked videos on my channel. I know I can do 10 times better now, so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to go outside and we get some awesome shots of the windscreen so you can get a nice clear HD look at it, because most of the time people that watch the channel ask what windscreen I have, or you just see it from the view from my GoPro. So we're going to go outside, get some brilliant shots of it, then we'll go in the garage, we'll have a little talk about what's good, what's bad, and should you buy it or not. So guys, let's go ahead and get some shots. Oh, you didn't think I was forgetting you, did you? Come on. In the garage as we are. Now I've already tried filming this before and I hope you did enjoy the little cinematics there. It's so cold outside, hence why I'm wearing all this clobber. So first off, why did I buy the windscreen? So let's rewind back to last year, last May. I went on my first tour around Scotland. We've done a couple this year. I went on my first tour around Scotland on this as a brand new bike. So I'd run it in, did its first service, and off it were up to the Isle of Skye it was. No modifications on it whatsoever. It was a fully naked bike. But riding around there all day, riding around Scotland, Isle of Skye, it's windy up there, and with it being such a light bike, you're having to keep up with big adventure bikes doing about 60, 70 in mountains and stuff. You get a lot of wind blast, a lot of chest blast. It was causing fatigue, so when I got to the hotel on the night I was tired, I had neck ache, and it was just making the trip kind of uncomfortable and not fun. So when I got back I was looking for a windscreen for the bike to deflect the wind over my head and away from me, so I had a nice happy lovely journey wherever I went. I didn't want to compromise looks over practicality, so I wanted one that looked decent and worked instead of having one that looked horrendous and worked brilliant, or one that looked awesome and didn't work at all. And what I came to the conclusion was the one that KTM make in their Powerparts manual, and that's the KTM Powerparts Flyscreen that you're seeing right here. So why am I making the video? Everywhere I go, anywhere I post this bike, whether it be Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, I always get questions asking what windscreen I have. And instead of writing a paragraph, what I'm going to do is make this video and just link it straight to them. So if you're watching this, you're very welcome. So where I am in the UK, I'm not sure where guys you are in the world or what currency you use, but this costs £87, which is quite steep for what it is. But then again, it is a genuine KTM Powerparts product, and KTM are always a little bit premium. So I've got a little clipboard here of stuff that that I don't want to forget, because what I do is whenever I make a video, it goes blank, my mind goes blank, and I talk absolute shite. Hence why I did on the first one. I stood up on the moors and it worked that cracky. So this time we've gone ahead and got some real notes. So I've done about 9,000 miles with this windscreen on, so I've collected a lot of data in all kinds of weather, in snow, rain, sun, wind, you name it, this windscreen's seen it. So we'll head and get into the pros. So first one that I like about this windscreen is the fact that it works well with the look of the bike. You get some of these windscreens out there, the big Puig ones, and they come like right up to here. And don't get me wrong, this is what I was saying at the start, they do their job perfect. They're going to block all that type of wind away, but they look horrendous. And if you've seen the video I put about the 5 things I love about the bike, this is the first thing I love about the bike, and that's the looks. So I don't want to compromise the bike looks for just some horrendous windscreen. It's like you say, a good example is when you look at these bikes with the big Puig windscreens on, the first thing you notice is not the good looks of the bike or the trellis frame or the headlight. The first thing you notice, unfortunately, is the massive windscreen on the front. But this one is from KTM. They've designed it well with the bike. It's got grooves, contours on it, so it looks good. It's tinted as well, so it fits in with the cockpit. It's not clear and stands out. To me, it fits perfectly well with the bike. Now the next one is something that a lot of people are wanting from the windscreen, and that's probably the reason why you are watching the video, and that is, how does it do for actually deflecting the wind, its purpose. Now the first thing I noticed when I put this windscreen straight on straight away was how much wind it deflected off my chest. Not my head and my neck, but we'll get around to that in a little second, but definitely from my chest you could feel it straight away. There was nothing here at all. It was more up here and on the top of your head. Like I say, we'll speak about that in a little bit. Another thing as well is how durable the screen is. If we come up to it and give it a... It's a really durable screen. It is held on by 4 bolts, 4 pieces of metal that make 2 brackets which connect to the bike. Yeah, it is held on super well. Coming on to how well it's built is how durable it is. If you actually look really closely on this screen has hit stones, flies, road muck, road salt. It's seen it all, like I said. And there is not one crack in it, not one dent or indent. Don't get me wrong, it is absolutely covered in scratches, but rather be the £87 screen than the lovely £200 TFT at the back. That leads us on to the next pro as well, is it protects the back of the TFT. So if you look at the back of the TFT, it is very, very niggly, and there's all sorts of cheap plastic parts. As the TFT as a whole, it's an expensive bit of kit. And as well, it's a pain to clean. If you've got all these dead flies and road salt and stuff in these all little grooves that you're probably seeing now, this thing just takes all the dirt, and down there gets dirty, don't get me wrong, but that's just a microfiber cloth wipe, whereas this has got all the actual dirt on it. So yeah, another thing is it makes the bike just that little bit easier to clean. Now we're done with pros. Like I say, it's got some pros, it's got some cons. We'll get onto a conclusion in a minute, but we're going on to the cons now. And there is definitely some cons about the little windscreen. First one is, like I was saying about the chest blast, it doesn't actually take all the wind away from your head. Now I'm sat on the bike now, so you can see how tall I am if you do have one, because I don't know how tall I am. But yeah, you can see if the wind's coming up, it should really dodge my head. But then you think about it, you got a helmet on, just catches the top and around the side, so it still does give you a lot of neck pull on motorways, or if you're going motorway speeds. One thing I've noticed is it doesn't hurt the back of the neck as much as it used to, whether that's from me just riding and my neck muscles getting stronger, or the windscreen actually doing something, I don't know. But yeah, it definitely doesn't take all of it away, to be expected, as it's not advertised as a windscreen, it's advertised as a fly screen. So all the things that I find pro about it, that's what it's doing. It's getting them flies, it's just tidying up that front end of the bike. So if you are looking for a windscreen, this might not be the one for you. Now this is another point as well, it takes away that naked vibe. I know I was saying in the pros how it fits well with the bike, but if you are someone that's bought a naked bike and you want it non-fade whatsoever, you just want to see all the nooks and crannies, well, you shouldn't be putting a windscreen on anyway, but if you're going to put it on, it does take away that naked vibe. It does add a lot to the bike for something so small, but yeah, definitely takes away that naked hyper look that the Duke family has. Same with the big bikes. If you put a windscreen on the 790 and the 1290, it takes that little bit of an edge off the looks, but that's just something you've got to compromise with for the form, that's all. Now the last one is something that I've always complained about with this windscreen, and that is how much of a pain it is to install. Now it came, like I said, it came with 2 brackets in 4 pieces and about 8 bolts, I'm not too sure, and the instructions look great. It's from KTM, it looks like a proper professional product, but people that have this and I've spoke to have all found the same problem when installing it, and that's the fact that one of the bolts doesn't actually fit on. So this is only held on by 3 of the 4, but you can still see how rigid it is, because if you actually tried to force the bolt in there, the bracket would probably snap. And at first I thought I'd put it on wrong, but when I was looking around and I was looking at the instructions, I spent a good 2 hours putting it on, and I put it on right. And you're probably thinking, why have you spent 2 hours putting a windscreen on? And that's because you have to take the handlebars off to get underneath the triple clamp bracket thing to put these clamps in. So that's why it's so rigid. But then again, it's not a quick install and it's a bit of a ball ache. So that is definitely a con of the Flyscreen. But yeah, getting on to a conclusion of it, like I said, there is a lot of pros, there is a lot of cons, but they are about the same. And the conclusion of it to me is you need to know what you want it for. Do you want a windscreen for recreational riding, something that tidies up the front end? Or do you want something that you want to go touring with and you want it to work 100%? Now, would I buy this again if I went back 2 years or a year? Yes, I would. But what else I'd have done is when I went around Scotland, or if I went long touring, I'd have probably bought another windscreen that looked horrendous, but just for touring. So I'd have switched them out, put the big one on for when I'm touring, but then when I'm back riding round my usual to work and back everyday riding, I pop the Flyscreen back on, because don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant little screen, but it doesn't do what I thought it was going to do. But yeah, that's the video guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I'll leave a link in the description for a UK market one of these. But yeah, that's the KTM Powerparts Flyscreen. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. I've got a few more reviews in the works coming soon, including the little quad lock as well. A lovely bit of kit on the front of my bike. Another thing that I get asked a lot about when I'm riding on the GoPro, what's the little blue and black thing on your handlebars? That's my lovely little quad lock foam mount. But anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. If you are riding today, ride safe. But apart from that, this has been JBL, and I'm out. Peace.